everyone, Alisha Nightingale here with Windermere Real Estate, Columbia River Gorge, sitting here with Rachel Broughton and Kim Chamness, the new owners of Windermere Real Estate, Columbia River Gorge. We're sitting here in our Hood River office today to talk about our fearless leader, Kim Salvesen, who passed away on New Year's Day. Such a sad day and topic. But we're here to talk about our transition and the bright future ahead for the brokerage. So I want to start off by asking Rachel. Rachel is Kim Salvesen's daughter and has had a whole life of real estate. Can you give us a good idea of what brought Kim into real estate to start?
Sure. In the beginning, at least that I'm aware of, Kim Salvesen was going to college and when I was very little, and she was working at WKO, and she met with her uncle, who is the owner of Windermere Bellevue Commons, and they talked about owning real estate and being a real estate agent, and she fell in love with that lifestyle and decided that she was going to take that adventure head on.
Mm-hmm. Well, she definitely did that. Mm-hmm. So what were her first steps in real estate?
Getting her real estate license, which I believe it was Better Homes and Gardens back then in Stevenson, Washington. When I was a kid, I would walk down from Stevenson Elementary School across the highway and into the Better Homes and Gardens where she worked. And then in 1996, we moved to Lincoln City, Oregon, followed my grandparents there, and she started in Pacific City at first, and then moving to Windermere Distinctive Coastal Properties after that.
Okay.
There she became the managing broker, or principal broker at some point in time, and continued her real estate career and growing.
Mm-hmm. Great. And then when did she transition back into the Gorge?
2005 is where she came back to work for Windermere Glenn Taylor Real Estate as the risk manager at the Stevenson location and the Hood River location. Mm-hmm. And then after that, I believe she bought the Hood River location, followed by the Washington branches, and then the Dallas branches after that.
Wow, such a quick growth. Chamness, were you here at that time? When did you meet Salvesen?
I joined Windermere Glenn Taylor Realtors in 2003, and Kim came back from the coast. Glenn had asked her to be risk manager in 2005. We became fast friends. After about a year of knowing her, I approached her about wanting more because my background was in training and human resources. And so she guided me down that road. I got my principal broker's license, and that's where our partnership took off. And I thought she was crazy acquiring offices during the worst real estate market that we had ever seen. But
the dreamer.
Exactly. And I think why Kim and I became such fast friends is neither one of us, we always knew everything would be okay. We believe in abundance and we're grateful for abundance. And we always knew it would be okay. And there were some times where it was a little scary, but we came out on the other end stronger than when we went in. So, but she and I, neither one of us, you have to care about money, but we never focused on money. And because I feel like when you focus on the money, you've dropped the ball along the way. And so that's how we approach business. That's how, we share with our brokers that mindset of you take care of the client and the money comes at the end. Mm-hmm. And so we just, we had some great adventures and we'll have some great adventers going forward too. But yeah.
Yeah. So Rachel, you mentioned that she had started with the Hood River office. Do either of you know how many agents were in the first office she bought?
I do not.
I want to say 15.
15?
Around 15 or 16.
Okay, so she went from one office with 15 agents to how many offices with how many agents today?
We have 6 offices, and we have we have 5 offices and 3 satellite offices, so a total of 8 offices. And we're around 65 agents and excuse me, and 5 staff members, admin,
Yes.
5 or 6 admin folks. Yeah, so it's been tremendous growth, and we're always looking for new energy to bring to the group.
Yeah, I definitely want to circle back to what our new agent plan and growth is in a moment, because I think that it is, gosh, in the last year has been better than it's ever been. So I'm really excited to talk about that. But circling back to Salvesen and, this decision, this transition, I know it was a surprise to maybe some people in the community because she's so bright and shiny and strong, and not everybody knew how long this battle went on. So do you mind kind of sharing a little bit around her journey through cancer and when you guys first started the conversation around transition of the brokerage to you guys?
So Kim got diagnosed back in August of 2019 with Mantle Cell Lymphoma, and it was caught very early, and that first year was really rather smooth. I mean, as smooth as a cancer diagnosis could be, but she also realized that we needed to really start looking at a transition plan just in case the worst happened. And so part of that plan was looking at what we had, trying to take some responsibility off her plate and my plate so that she could focus on her health, which was number one. And so we reorganized the company back in 2019, early 2020. And frankly, the pandemic was a blessing in my mind because it gave us some time, afforded us some time to regroup and rearrange responsibility essentially to kind of even out everybody's job description, if you will. And then in July of 2020, her cancer started taking a turn, and that's where this journey began, where she was actively having to go through treatments, and she went into remission in 2022.
Yes, for a short while.
And around May of 22, that's when her cancer became super aggressive, and then we went full bore ahead with our transition plan to make sure that in her absence that the company would have a seamless transition, that where the brokers felt secure and comfortable and aware of what the plan was going forward. And, I feel like at this point, besides her absence, I feel like the transition has been very seamless for the brokers. And I think the point of, us doing this today is so that people understand, what Windermere is doing, what the management structure looks like, and that nothing has changed besides Kim not being here. But she left us a legacy to carry forward, and that is our number one goal.
Yeah. Well, you ladies are doing a phenomenal job. I know that it's been just a lot to take on both personally and professionally. And so you guys are rock stars, and she's so proud of you. And Rachel, how has the transition been for you? I know that real estate's been a huge part of your life for your entire life, but most recently, you got your principal broker's license.
Yep, in Oregon, and my Washington managing broker's license recently as well. After she passed both licenses, so I knew what she wanted for me, and I know what I wanted, and carrying this on. So I'm stepping forward as best as I can and as much as she's trained me over the years. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, there's really, frankly, no one better fit. So with your managing broker license and principal broker license, Kim had mentioned that you guys have been dividing some responsibilities and things like that. What are you really spearheading in the brokerage?
Rachel is really good at the back end stuff, being the numbers, finance, statistics, trends. She's excellent at all that stuff. She does a deep dive, and when she takes on a project, she goes in 110%. Frankly, I'm grateful because that is all stuff that I do not enjoy doing. I enjoy being
It's
out
very
there.
much like your mom. Yeah. I mean, she was great at everything, so it's hard. But the back end stuff, the stats, the trends, she was so great at that.
And that's why we made a good team, because she did all the stuff I don't really enjoy doing. I enjoy being on the real estate side of things, the transactional side of things, the people side of things. And not to say she wasn't on the people side of things, because we all know she was the spreader of joy in the brokerage. But the fact that Rachel, that's a strong point and a place that that's a space she enjoys being in, is a relief for me, because if I had to sit down, look at P&Ls and decipher the statistics, I would lose my mind. So it's when we sat down to decide what the roles would be, at least initially going forward. And I suggested that to her, and she's like, I would love that. And I'm like, thank goodness.
That's amazing. So you'll be really kind of ensuring that the brokerage stays in line with its licensure, I imagine, and finances, and then also making sure that all of our brokers are up to date on what's going on in our market by making sure that we have stats in front of us and they're digestible and understandable. That's so key, so that we can transition that knowledge to our clients. So so appreciated. And then Kim, I think you touched on a little bit, but how do you see your role holistically in the brokerage?
Well, I have to tell you, when this presented itself, I was like, oh my God, am I going to be able to do this? And I had made the comment to several people that I hope I know more than I think I know. And for me, this transition has been more about losing her.
Yeah.
Because I realized I've been doing it this whole time.
Yeah.
And so I don't feel like... I need a minute.
You can take all the time you want.
So there was a point in my career when I wasn't doing too well in real estate. I was very new and definitely didn't have that 6 to 9 month saving like everybody had said. So I went and got a job at a local retail store, and was still juggling real estate. And Kim always believed in me from the day that I met her. Oh, it makes me want to cry. She always believed in me and wanted the best for me. And she was my biggest supporter for sure. She came into the retail store and was like, can I talk to you? And she pulled me aside and she was pretty much like, all right, it's time to shit or get off the pot. Like, are you going to do real estate or are you going to, do other things? And she said she, believed in me, and she sees how far I can go and that I can make this really work for myself. And I've never had that kind of support behind me before, from a mentor standpoint. And that really just, lit my fire and made me go down the right path. And I definitely put in my 2 weeks notice that day to that retail job and jumped full force into real estate. And I have never regretted it for a second, and have always admired Kim and will always cherish the memories that we do have together, and the encouragement that she always gave me will always be so special to me.
So for my transition, it has been easier because I realized, as she became sicker and stepped further away from the brokerage, that I had stepped in a while ago. Yeah. And there's very little I've run into yet that I didn't already know or wasn't already doing. So I feel like I want to continue on the spirit of Kim and this family that she created. We have such a tight bond. We are a team of 60 plus brokers, and that's my number one goal is the people, the team, and taking care of them and helping them be successful at whatever level they want to be successful at.
Yeah.
You don't have to be a top producer to work at this company.
Yeah.
You succeed at the level you wish to succeed at. And if you're not achieving that, we're here to help you get there. So that's, I mean, that was our number one focus back then and going forward.
Yeah. I so appreciate that. And the support in this brokerage is like unlike any other, not just with you two, but also the staff that have been on staff for a really long time. I know that we all love and appreciate them so much, and it really has made this transition so smooth. Frankly, it feels minus the sparkle and the joy
Right.
of Salvesen, right? It feels the same.
Right.
Like there's been no bump in the transition. So I know that I really appreciate it and everybody here does. So it means a lot. I know there's been some additions of support. So I just wanted to kind of bring that up as well. I know we have a new principal broker that is amazing, and I'm so excited to see her grow. Do either of you want to kind of introduce us to Shay and tell us a little bit about her and what her role will be?
Well, Shay came to me back when the market started amping up, and she kept saying to me, you need an assistant. And the thought of training or organizing my life to include an assistant was overwhelming to me. So it took me about a year, and she kept like, I'm here if you need me. And I was mentoring her. And anyway, I believe it was March of 2021, and I threw my arms up and said, Uncle, I give. Let's figure this out.
Yeah.
And so she became my business coordinator to help me with all the back end stuff so that, again, I could be front facing in front of people, which is, I think, my strong point. And, through that first year, she expressed to me having a desire to maybe have a bigger role in the company at some point if there was a need. And Kim and I had talked about it. And, and then Kim and I had also talked about, what does retirement look like? I mean, I will never stop selling real estate as long as my mind and body hold out. But retirement for me looked like stepping back from management. And so we were coming up with that transition plan. We've been looking at that for the last 5 years. And so I joked with her. I said, well, I found my replacement. Now get on it. So that's
That'd be me.
then she started putting the pressure on Rachel. And so, unfortunately, we faced what we faced. And Shay has stepped up to take an active role in the transition of the company. And she's in charge of our new agent training and retention, frankly.
Agent development.
I was trying to think of the name that we came up with, and which was what I was doing. So that takes a little bit off my plate so that I can step more into the role that I'm in now. And so she recently also got her principal broker's license as well as her managing broker's license, and is taking an active role in the team. Making sure that we're up to date on, the latest rules changes, forms changes, all
the tools
information,
that Windermere
all the
office.
tools. Exactly. So you can have a toolbox, but if you never open it, it is just a toolbox.
Preach.
So she is pulling the tools out and teaching us how to use them.
I know. She's taught me so much already, like brought up so many things that I didn't even know we had access to, like in Windermere or the MLS, or she just can retain a lot of information. She's so organized.
Yes.
So I just blows my mind. And she's like so perfect for that role and new agents. So that's great. So now that we're in this new year, and it feels like this transition has, not that it was always smooth, but it's really settled now. It's like we're kind of all in our new groove. I'm really kind of curious what your guys' dreams, goals, ambitions are for Windermere.
So mine are that we continue building our relationships together and with our communities, building this dream of helping one another achieve the home ownership dream, or even just personally, your family dream, your ambitions, not just as us as a company, but our community as well, and helping build that. So that's my dream on that.
Yeah, and I think, Kim was wildly competitive. I'm quietly competitive, but she was open and notoriously competitive.
Yeah.
And I think I care less about being number one, having the number one brokerage in the Gorge. I would rather be the brokerage where we are supporting each other. We are agent broker forward. We are community forward. We don't have to make the most money. We don't have to have the highest stats. I want to be that company that people look at and respect, because we do put people first. It is a relationship business. It always has been. Mm-hmm. Kim treated it that way too, but Kim liked to be number one as well. So I don't, you have to, Rachel's going to keep track of our stats and see where we're at, and so that we maintain, but it's not going to be the focus. We don't have to be number one.
Yeah.
We have to be number one right in this house.
Yeah.
And our brokers have to think we're number one.
Yeah.
One of the things that will always stay with me in regards to Kim Salvesen is she was a cheerleader for everybody. Whether you were one of her agents or not, whether you were a community member, a friend, family, she was just always there to try to lift you up, and it's something that will always stick with me too, because it's a lesson that I'll try to kind of carry on and think about when someone comes to me with a challenge or an insecurity or whatever it may be, and just I'll channel my inner Salvesen and be their cheerleader.
So I know that as a token of remembrance, the brokerage and our local association is going to be holding some events in honor of Kim. Can one of you guys tell us a little bit about that?
Yes. So my mom wanted to host a blood drive since she going through cancer and getting so many blood transfusions. Before she passed away, she started talking to MCAR about, or Mid-Columbia Association of Realtors, about doing a blood drive. And even after her passing, we pushed that along with MCAR, and Tara
Schneider actually spearheaded it. She felt helpless and wanted to help in some way. Yeah. And, in her conversations with Kim about, treatment and how many blood transfusions were making her quality of life far better. And I don't think any of us realized what a big influence the blood products would have on her quality of life in those last few months. So it became very important. And Tara, she just went full steam ahead, got MCAR on board. And so she created Salvesen Sweethearts. And this will be a twice-a-year event. When we rolled it out, announced the first blood drive, which was back in February, we had it booked in 3 days.
I know, I didn't even get to do it.
I know. A lot of people were like, wait a minute, it's already full.
Yeah.
And so we picked, I think they had 50 donors within 3 days. And so decided that we could manage a second blood drive for those people that weren't able to contribute. So this will be an annual event. Another thing that we're doing to remember her and her late husband is our golf tournament. And we've done this for 6-ish years, I think.
6 years, yes.
And it's always, we've picked a community organization. We did Rough Cuts, which is a vocational program down in Stevenson, training in the trades of construction. And we raised money for that organization for many years. Last year, we focused on Safe Space, which is a Hood River organization. And all the money raised went to Safe Space. And this year, I think I don't know that we've picked the charity that we're going to focus on, but we're just in the beginning of the planning. And that golf tournament is in July every year. It's a great event. We usually sell out. There's more golfers than the golf course has capacity for, and it's so much fun.
Yeah.
So much fun.
So much fun. So much shenanigans. Buy a ticket if you want some entertainment. Yes. Also, there's hole sponsorships and things for that, right?
Yep. There's hole sponsorships. There's cart sponsors. You can donate products for. I'm trying to get my husband. He auctioned off about 4 items last year just on the fly. I told him that was wildly popular and that perhaps we could maybe do a half dozen items this year and be a little more organized in the execution of that. We do raffle baskets. So each office typically picks a theme and then does a raffle basket for gardening. Or last year it was very alcohol focused. Every single office picked some alcohol theme. There was a lot to drink about.
Yeah.
There was
a lot to drink about.
So anyway, and it's always just shocks me how much the community steps up and how much money we raise from that event.
Yeah.
So my name's Brian Lauterbach, and so just kind of my history with Kim has been, Kim was always kind of a headhunter looking for good talent, and not that was a pick for that, but she saw something in me early on that she just kept asking me to come to work for her, and at the time I had my own business and wasn't even looking, but she's just persistent in wanting me to come to work for her, and to the point where it was almost obnoxious. So Kim had a way of beating you into coming to work for her, and I appreciated that about her. She just she offered to do things to bring me in. She paid for my schooling. She paid for my training at Ninja. She got me an office, and she just set me up. And she allowed me to work my other job while I was working on getting a client base. And so she just she was that way. She just loved people, and she loved to bringing them into what she already knew was happening, and she knew, and the people that she brought in just were people that she knew were gonna be good for her company. So I just appreciated that about her.
Once again, I know I've said this a million times, but I appreciate the heck out of you guys, because in the industry, it seems like there's such a transition from being a really rock star professional agent that supports our clients to a social media facing influencer. And I really feel like so many folks in our industry are spending so much time in this area around painting an image, painting a picture of what it is to be a real estate agent. And oftentimes it's in through rose-colored glasses. And I think it really can detract from the time and energy they put into the professional side. Now, I think there's a great balance for that, but I just so appreciate that you guys are not focused on, flouting being number one and this kind of perfect situation, but instead you want to be real and vulnerable and honest and transparent with your brokers to build that family and trust. Right. And that's why I would never, I will never leave this brokerage. It's my family. So I really appreciate you guys taking that stance and providing this home for us all.
Well, and I think those of us that know Kim and I and now Rachel is we've always come from a place of authenticity. And that's what's most important, because that
Gotcha.
it translates. And there's a balance. You put it perfectly. There's a balance. Social media is super important.
Yep.
But there is a balance, and we've got to put the time into our people.
Yeah.
Not painting a picture of what we think we should look like. Just go out there, be authentic, and
I super appreciate that. So that actually, Rachel, you brought up in your dream that, supporting each other, but also really supporting the community. And this, I think, segues perfectly into what we're doing in this podcast right now. Yes. As you guys know, Kim started this podcast and it was very real estate focused. And there was a lot of great content from lenders to home inspectors and agents and all of these things. And we'll still have some of that content. But for our audience, just so you guys know, we're transitioning, and Kim had already started this, but transitioning into more of a community focus. So this will be a platform for us to uplift our community, introduce our community to different businesses and organizations that we want you all to know about. Either to participate in, to donate to volunteer at, any of these opportunities. So that's the transition we'll be doing. And I really appreciate and am so honored to be taking over as the host for this platform. I know that Kim really tried to get you guys to do it.
Yeah. We're grateful that you stepped up, because we... in the last weeks of her life, Rachel and I both told her, by the way, we're not doing the podcast. In no way, shape, or form, but we will get somebody to step up and carry it on. But yeah, completely out of my comfort zone. It's a painful endeavor.
Yeah, same for me. So.
Well, hence the bubbly I brought for you guys. So on that note, everyone, I really appreciate you guys taking the time to listen to this episode about our fearless leader, Kim Salvesen. She will be honored and remembered forever. Do either of you have a sign off that you'd like to do to our audience in remembrance of?
There is no replacing my mom. End of story. There's no replacing anybody in this life. But all you can do is be the best that you are.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm out here to do. Is I'm just going to stand strong for my community and my agents, one step at a time, together.
I just got goosebumps.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Goosebumps for sure. Thank you. That's power.
Sorry.
No, don't be sorry. I felt the power. So amazing. Kim?
Yes, I told Kim that if she thought I was going to start wearing stilettos and all the flamboyant outfits, that it wasn't going to happen. But I was going to continue doing what I was doing.
Yeah.
And like I said, carrying her legacy forward. She worked very hard. She was very proud of this brokerage.
Yeah.
And we're going to make her proud.
Yes.
You guys already have. I know that for sure.
Yeah.
Well, on that note, thank
Let's
you guys.
toast to the future.
Yeah, let's toast. Love you guys, and really excited for all the growth that's going to happen. So thank you all for stepping in and or checking us out. We're going on to cheers now.
This is Mason from Gorge Media. I'm the producer of the podcast. I'm the guy who's sitting behind all the mics and the cameras, hitting the record buttons when this podcast goes on. But I wanted to jump on it and share some stuff about Kim that, as we're doing this episode here, it made me think about all the fun times that me and Kim had and basically how this podcast got started. So I just wanted to share a little bit, a couple of my favorite things that had happened during this podcast. If you knew Kim. She was really lively. Always had, you knew when Kim was laughing. You can hear her down the hallway. There's a couple of times where I had to turn down her microphone while recording because she was blowing out my ears with her laugh. But Kim was just such a bright soul anytime she got on the microphone. And she loved talking to all the small businesses in town and getting to know people. There was a lot of times that we would schedule interviews together. I would schedule people or businesses that she had seen but never got to know. And then I had a connection to the businesses, and we would bring people in, and she would get to know, the business, get to know the business owner. And then also would reach out and hire these businesses or shop at these businesses, because she got to know a little bit about the story. And the same goes for me and for pretty much anyone who listens to the show. We get to know the people in our community, and that's one thing Kim was about, was definitely our community, not specifically just here in Hood River, but all the communities in the Gorge. So that's definitely one thing that it would stick out for me. I was like, Kim was such a willing participant to bring anyone into into her office, or to get on the microphone and give them opportunity to tell their story and tell about their business and what's going on with them, and giving people an opportunity to shed light on on who they are and what they do. The way we do this podcast, we'll sit down. When we did recordings, we sit down and we typically try to get 4 or 5 interviews a day, and then we spread them out, throughout the month or throughout whatever period. And I remember that one of the funniest things that had happened during the podcast when we were doing that. I think it was maybe, I want to say, the 3rd or 4th time we got together for a recording. Actually, no, I think it was even more than that. I think it was maybe the 2nd time we got done the recording. We got down to the Oak Street office. We're sitting down, we're setting up. I see Kim walking in with her coffee, and at the time she had her mask, so during COVID, and I'm looking at Kim, and she's got all this stuff in her hand, and I know she has a bunch of clothes in her hand. And I'm like, what's going on here? I asked her, I'm like, do you need help? Is there any more in the car you need? And she's like, no. This is my wardrobe for the show. And I'm like, what do you mean? And she goes, well, I was sitting down and watching, this past month's recordings, and I noticed all my outfits were the same, and I'm like, okay. I guess she's like, yeah, I just want to switch it up. I don't want to have the same look every time we're posting something. So, Kim would always bring a different outfit, or, something to switch it up between episodes. She would run off in between interviews, go change, grab something to eat. And she'd always say, Mason, check, is there anything in my teeth? Is, my hair, my makeup look good? I'm like, yeah, Kim, you're rocking your hair. So, Kim was just funny, man. She's a great soul. Loved sitting down and just, in between interviews after she was done changing, and we would sit there and, we would just sit there and just kind of, shoot the shit a lot. And that's one thing I'll definitely miss. And I'm definitely appreciative for Kim and for her, stepping up to the plate when it came time to promote local businesses and doing it a different way during COVID. And ultimately it formed this podcast. And now that she's no longer with us, and we have a great new host, and I'm just really looking forward to how the show is going to progress without her, because I know we've all had conversations about how the show is going to proceed without her. And, we're going to keep her message going strong and keep talking to businesses and keep giving people opportunities to showcase who they are and what they do, and, just give people another platform. And I'm so happy to be a part of it. But yeah, Kim will definitely be missed.